So if you're thinking about buying the H2, there are a lot of things that you should look for and pay attention to. So I'm gonna cover some of those today. If you have any questions, just leave a comment and I'll try my best to answer it. So the first would be the wheel hubs. So you wanna check those. You also wanna check your tie rods, which are these, right? You want to check ball joints. Those often go as well. You want to turn the steering to full lock both ways while the truck is moving, so you can check your CVs. If you hear any clicking or anything like that, that could be an issue. You want to check the oil return lines, or out and return, I guess, for the radiator. This has a bypass on it, and I got a what do you call it? Like an external cooler. So I can't show you that here, but they'll run from the driver's side of the block all the way up, and they have a tendency to leak. So just check that. Let's see, rear main seal on the engine. You want to check that too. So look for any spots that'll drip underneath the truck, kind of in this area here. This is like right behind the front tire. So around in there. You want to make sure you check that. You also want to put the truck in four-wheel drive, locked, and put it in low and drive it around like that. And then make sure it comes out of low and goes back into four-wheel high, which is, these are four-wheel high all the time. Here's my engine oil cooler. I have a transmission one on the other side too. So you want to do that because the motor on the transfer case gets stuck a lot and they burn out because people don't generally change from 2 to 4. So you want to check that. Let's see. If it has air ride suspension, you want to make sure that the air ride suspension works. This has it deleted and I have coils. So you want to check that. On the engine, you also want to look and see the exhaust manifold bolts. I don't want to open the hood right now, but if you guys have more questions, I'll tell you. But they're like right here, right? You want to make sure that they're not broken off. This has headers on it, so it's not traditional like what you would see. It doesn't have the cast iron on there, but those break all the time on LS's. And if you don't have a welder, they're a pain to get out. If you have a welder, it's not really a big deal. Let's see what else. All right, so you also want to check, there's going to be a power steering cooler right here in the front. You want to look at that and make sure it is not leaking, because those have a tendency to go and they're kind of expensive. So I have an external one, a bigger one that I put on when I change my radiator out. You want to check your alternator. There's a voltmeter in the car, so you want to make sure that it's charging around 14, and it may be higher if you just start it, but the voltage regulator kicks in and you might see it dip to like 14 or a little bit more. Don't freak out, it does that on purpose. This has an electric fan conversion. This is a 03, so it looks a little different in here, but you want to check that. You want to look at the spark plug wires to make sure that they're not cracked or nasty, because those can be kind of expensive. Let's see what else. Oh, check the actuators for the air conditioning, just to make sure that they work, and put it on AC, and check that the AC will come out of like the floor and the vents that are in front of you and the defrost and stuff, and then change it back. So make sure all that works. Make sure you check the, just general stuff. Fluids, check the brake fluid, look at the oil, make sure there's nothing milky in there. Check the coolant, so you want to check that and make sure it's good. You also want to check the coolant to make sure there's no oil in it. Let's see what else. Oh, make sure the windshield wiper washer motor works. Those burn out a lot. I've replaced mine twice, and it's not hard to do, but it's If it's broken, maybe get a little bit more cash off. Make sure if you're buying one of these, try to get the Hummer steps. They're very hard to come by and super expensive to buy like secondhand. You also want to check things like the brakes and rotors. These are drilled and slotted. These are actually power stop, and they're nice. I like them a lot. But you want to check the rotors and make sure they're not grooved really bad. You want to check the brake pads and make sure that there's enough left on the brake pads, front and back. Make sure you check both. The fuel pumps do go on these. I've replaced this one once, had around like 110,000 miles or something like that. But it's not as hard of a job as you would think. I have a couple shortcuts, so if you guys have any questions about that, let me know. I think that's about it. You also want to check your brake lines, make sure you look at them, make sure they're not too rusted. I'm probably going to do nickel copper lines. I have some in the back already that I did when I did the lift. So you want to check those. You can see them on the driver's side, both the front and the back. Give you a good indication.